Hey guys, welcome back to Justin Reads Romance. I'm Justin and today I'm going to be doing my weekly wrap up the last week of May. Technically this is the last day of May, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to finish a book today. So yeah, this is going to be the last books that I have read for this month. First I have Forbidden by Carla Sorensen. This is the fourth book in her Ward Sister series, and it's a spinoff from her Washington Wolf series as well. If you read The Marriage Effect, then you will know the Ward Sisters, and I was so excited whenever she announced the series. This is the final sister, and I don't want it to end. At the end of this book, she did say that she's going to stay in this world so that we will see these characters, and she has some ideas for some of the football players that play with the Washington Wolves to just continue in this world, because everyone just fell in love with all of these characters, and I'm so excited that she's going to continue with this. But anyway, let's go back to Forbidden. Forbidden is the romance between Isabel, who is the final Ward sister. She manages a gym which caters to like MMA fighting and stuff like that, and now it's going to be under new ownership, and lo and behold, the new owner is actually a famous MMA fighter who retired after the death of his wife, and he's now going to be owning this. And Isabel is like so starstruck whenever she sees Aiden Hennessy walk through the doors, knowing that he's going to be the new owner, because she used to crush so hard on him. It's an age gap romance. It's a single dad romance because Aiden has a beautiful daughter and she is just the cutest thing ever. And I always harp on this, like if you're going to include kids in the story, like I want them to be actual characters and have like purpose in the story rather than just like props. And Carla Sorensen does it so beautifully. I love this romance so much. It is a bit of a slow burn. I didn't mind it because the tension between Isabel and Aiden in the beginning was hilarious, because he was like trying to figure out why Isabel was reacting this way just with him and not with anybody else. She seemed confident and cool and collected with all the other employees and with all of the clients that she was handling, and he respects her as, you know, somebody who really knows what she's doing. There's this moment whenever Isabel sees this girl who attended her class for the first time, and the girl approached Isabel asking if she does like self-defense classes. She would really like to do it, and Isabel totally catches this underlying fear in the girl that maybe she was assaulted, and Isabel's like, I'll show you some moves right now, and like Aiden witnesses all of this, and so he's so intrigued by her, and then wondering why she acts all funny and kind of trips over her words, and it's just kind of like a little bit awkward between them. But of course it's because she's like, I can't reconcile that this was like my childhood crush. I had posters of him up on my wall. There's a really great moment when Isabel's nephew kind of like spills that beans, and it's lovely. I loved it so much. I ended up by giving this book 4.5 stars just because I wish that it was longer, and I wish that there was a little bit more steam. There was an amazing moment where Isabel is babysitting her nephew. The breaker box goes off, and so they're repairing it, and it's like, you know, they're in like enclosed space, tight quarters. He's like helping her, showing her how to do it, and it's just like the tension in that moment was so beautiful. I wish we got more of those moments, and I wish I was reading the intimate scenes between Isabel and Aiden, and I was wondering, I was like, does Carla Sorensen, was she always not very explicit? Like the sex scenes are there, they're not fade to black, but it was like kind of under the covers types of intimate scenes, and I was like, was she always like this, or am I just expecting like a higher steam level when she's never done it before? So I can't remember. I need to go reread Focus, which is one of my favorites in the series as well, and see if this is just Carla Sorensen's style, and I forgot about it. Next is another Men of the North book, and I've been binging these books on audio. They're all like on Anyplay. There's like 15 books. Tiffany is almost done with the entire series, and they're very bingeable. They're very bingeable. I talked about the first books in the series in my last weekly wrap up if you want to go check those out first. But this romance is between Archer and Kaya, and Kaya, we did see her in book 1. So Kaya is a teacher, and she's been tapped because she has that connection to Christina to come teach at the school. They're trying to integrate the children of the North and the children of the motherland, see if they can interact, see if we can start building those bridges. And so Kaya is tapped to come and be the teacher, but Archer is as well. So they're both like mentors. Like Archer is a mentor for the boys of the North, and the thing is their teaching style is completely different. The way of the Northmen is through brutality, competition, and stuff like that, and the way that Kaya teaches is through like love, acceptance, and of course there's going to be clashes in like what is good for the children. Shouldn't we try to be bringing them together and not like pitting them against each other type of thing? And all throughout they're falling for each other, and I really did enjoy this romance. The relationship always starts contentious because all of the men in the North are chauvinistic, and they think men are stronger than women, and women need to be protected. And they say the wildest things, and so the women always have to correct them. And it's just, the series is fun. It is fun. I gave this book 5 stars because the romance really does get to a point where it's just like very, very sweet. They finally get on the same page. It takes a little bit of work, but that's part of the fun of these books in the Men of the North. And it's just such a unique sci-fi series, and I love it. I love it. So, of course, I've been to the next one as well. This one is The Seducer, and I actually really love Finn because Finn is definitely in the mentor, and you see him and he's like flirting with Kaya, and Archer's like not having it. Finn is chosen to be kind of like an ambassador from the Northmen to the Motherlands to show that they're not these like totally barbaric brutes. Like the rumors in the Motherlands about what the Northmen do, like they're cannibals, they eat like dogs and stuff like that. It's like overblown. And so they pick like the more palatable men to be able to be ambassadors, and Finn is actually a doctor. And so it's like, oh, you can like go visit hospitals and stuff and like work on like techniques and whatever and share your knowledge. And he is very charismatic, especially for a Northman. He's very lighthearted. He jokes very easily. He smiles very easily. And when Archer and Kaya and the kids actually took a trip to the Motherlands, Finn accompanied them, and everyone really loved Finn. And so they're like, you're perfect. You're perfect. Well, the thing about it is, Finn thinks that he has a curse on him because there was a whole thing in book 1 where Magni's wife Laura leaves him to go to the Motherlands. He wants her back, and so he kidnaps the first person that he sees, and she's a priestess, Athena. Since Magni was like out of control, Khan was like, Finn, you have to guard her. So Finn guarded Athena, and Athena is a priestess, and like priestess religion doesn't exist in like the Motherlands. It's just like they're basically therapists, and actually they didn't even coin that name for themselves. It was other people that coined their name, but they're more like therapists for people. But she was really mad at being kidnapped and held against her will, and so she made Finn believe that he was cursed to never like find pleasure with another woman or just women in general. And so he decides he needs to go visit Athena because he wants this curse to be taken off of him. When he arrives at Athena's house, she decides to have a little fun and kind of roll with it, and she's like, well, if you want me to take away this curse, then you have to experience exactly what I experienced with you. Like, you be my hostage for 5 days. And I just loved it. I loved it so much. Athena was a great character. I really liked her character a lot. I really liked the role that she plays in the Motherland. So 5 stars for this one too. I enjoyed it like so much. And then we have our Patreon pick. We had a theme for the month of May, and it was historical, but it needed to be Viking romance. And Fires of Winter by Joanna Lindsey was one that won. I have not read a Joanna Lindsey book that I have enjoyed, and this is not an exception. I would give this book 2 stars. There is basically no consensual scenes in this book because the hero isn't even the one to kidnap the heroine. Lady Brenna is a Celt. She was supposed to be given in marriage, like an arranged marriage, to this this Viking, the son of this like Viking lord or whatever. And the Viking lord, actually Anshelm, he betrays her father and like attacks and basically like kills people and like rapes people and takes everyone hostage. And on the journey to their homeland, everyone is raped. Her half-sister, her stepsister, her aunt, Lynette, they're all raped on the way to their Viking stronghold, except for Lady Brenna, because Brenna's supposed to be with, what is his name? Totally blanked on his name. Garrick. And let me tell you, rape was a thing that happened in chapter 1. There was this random man that came to Lady Brenna's village and saw this like village girl alone and decides to like trick her into going into her own home and start raping her. Brenna's solution, because Brenna likes, I didn't even talk about Brenna because I'm like so hung up on like there's no love between these characters. Brenna was raised as kind of like a boy because her father had no sons, and so he trained Brenna in swordplay, and she prefers to dress like a boy, and she wants to do everything that she's not supposed to do as a lady. Brenna catches this guy and does give him a little cut, but her solution is like, well, you have to marry her. Like, you can't just rape her, you have to marry her. And I'm like, wow, solution, please marry your rapist. And like the girl was like all gung-ho for it. So that's just the mentality of the scenes, the sex scenes in Joanna Lindsey's books. It's just the mentality. And it's worse because it's like Viking captor-captive romance. When Lady Brenna gets there, Garrick has been scorned by a woman, so he thinks all women are horrible and does not want Lady Brenna at all. So they have a contentious relationship. He does end up by raping her. And yeah, there's lots of misunderstandings. Lady Brenna is stupid. She's a brat. She's a brat. She makes things harder for herself, and I'm not talking about like sexually, just like in general, because you're basically a slave. You have no say in what kind of work you do, and she like stomps her foot and says that she won't do any women's work at all. I'm like, if I was captured and I have these threats over my head, you bet your ass I'd be scrubbing a pot and not complaining because I don't want to do anything to do with like, that's like feminine. I don't want to like cook. I don't want to like clean. What? So anyway, she aggravated me with that because it feels like she had no self-preservation and she was just being very confrontational when she wasn't in a position to do that. She had like no plan. Like I wanted her to be smarter. I wanted her to try to outwit Garrick. I wanted her to always have a plan to escape. But the way that she goes about it, I'm like, you're calling attention to yourself. You're not doing yourself any favors. Garrick wasn't even much better. Garrick was dumb. The ending was horrible. I just did not like this book. 2 stars. Next I have Through the Ashes by J. Wolf. This is the second book in her Savage Crew series, and these are bully romances. The first book, Start a Fire, bully romance. So is Through the Ashes. I will say, and it's very funny because I was talking to Jen about it, and Tiffany also read this book, and in the beginning I wasn't really getting the appeal of like this bully pairing because the hero Asher seems to have it out for Bex, and it doesn't really make sense in the beginning. I was just kind of like, I don't like this because the bully romances that I like, I'm not saying that there's an excuse for bullying or anything, but like if you're going to read a bullying romance, you know it's going to be in there, but you actually want like some evidence to like back it up. You want there to be reasons why you could see them as a couple even though one of them is bullying the other. And I was just like, I just don't see what's going on here. Bex is the best friend of Grace, who's the heroine of the first book. Her home life is not that great. Her parents basically are super neglectful of her. They're very like rich, wealthy, but like they're very business minded, and they don't pay attention to their kids. Bex has an older brother, and he got into drugs because of the parents. The parents behaved. They were just not great parents at all. He started turning to drugs, and Bex couldn't really stop it. He ends up by murdering somebody whenever he is high, and he is going to jail. So she's struggling with that because now she is the sister of this murderer, this junkie murderer. So she's dealing with that in school. And then we get to know Asher. Asher is a jock. He's a football player. Elena is still in this book, and I'm just like, I hate her. I hate her more than anybody else. She was a villainess in book 1, and she is back again, and I was like, no. Get away. She's the worst. She is absolutely the worst. So the way that Asher kind of torments Bex in the beginning, and he always is, when you're in his point of view, he's saying that he's numb. He doesn't feel anything. And he's like just kind of like watching Bex with this like cold detachment that I'm just like, I don't understand what's going on. And then I feel like towards the middle of the book, we start getting these revelations. Even though Asher was torturing Bex in his own way, you could see that spark of interest, intrigue, and a little bit of possessiveness towards Bex. But I just wanted more of that type of thing. Jen and I talked it over, and we were talking about like what makes bully romances appealing, and it's because the hero is just like, yeah, I'm torturing this person, but I'm also not going to allow anybody else to torture this person. Like, she's only mine to torture. Halfway through the book, we start getting that. He starts like stepping up to the plate. I think that the revelations about Asher's motivations and the connection between Bex and Asher in the end made this book so worth it to me, because these are both people who have trauma in their lives. They feel alone in the world, and they end up by connecting. And I thought it was beautiful. They have a lot to connect about. It's all spoilers, so I can't talk about it. I would be happy to talk about it with anybody who has read this book and wants to talk spoilers. I'd be happy to talk about that. It's so hard to weave around all of that. So I just gave this book 5 stars in the end. I ended up by really liking it. It won me over. Totally won me over. The next couple is teased, and yeah, I'm excited for it. I think the 3rd book in the series is like Burn It Down or something. I can't wait. I can't wait. Back to the Men of the North. They're easily bingeable in any place, so I'm always putting them on, especially whenever I'm working. Like, I was addicted and I couldn't stop. So I've been waiting for book 5. This is the book with Magni and Laura. They're a married couple. Laura ran away in book 1, and finally they're reunited. Magni wants her to be what she was before. But the problem is Laura has been in the Motherlands and she wanted to have martial arts training. She wants to have independence. She doesn't want Magni to just be like, you will obey me and not listen to her opinion on anything. So she's struggling because she wants Magni to see her as a strong, capable woman. But the problem is that the men of the North are raised in a way that's like, why would you even want that? You're a woman. I will take care of you and you don't have to do any of that. So they struggle a lot. I kind of wish that their relationship and their reconnection went a different way. And I don't know if it's because this book was built up so much since we were anticipating this book from book 1 and now it's book 5. I don't know if it's the anticipation and I was a little bit let down, or just the choice that was made, their conflict, the conflict that was chosen for their book. I didn't love it as much. So I'm only going to give this book 4 stars, not 5 stars, 4 stars. And it's like barely in the 4-star range, you know, like between a 3.75 and a 4 stars. I'm being very picky, but that's where it would be. So yeah, a little bit disappointed with that one. But then for the next one, The Genius, we have a little bit of a time jump. So some of the kids that were in the school that I talked about in The Mentor, some of the kids, we had like a 15-year-old and a 20-year-old who were just kind of like helpers. They helped the adults, Archer and Kaya, with the kids. Marco and Shelley were teased from The Mentor, and this is their book. This is a couple years down the road. Marco is now 30 and Shelley is a genius. She has a very high IQ. She's a little bit robotic. She struggles with like emotions and nuances and stuff like that. The way that Shelley and Marco meet after not seeing each other for 10 years, it was weird. It was weird and I was uncomfortable. I was extremely uncomfortable with Shelley's choices. I didn't like Shelley. I did not like Shelley, and I was so surprised because the Shelley of The Mentor and The Seducer, I loved her so much. And it was an opposites attract romance where Marco was this like charismatic Northman and she was like a little bit closed off. And you could see the sexual tension building. You know that Shelley has a crush on Marco. And they're finally seeing each other. They're finally of age. Shelley's 25 and he is 30. And it's just like, it did not go the way I wanted it to go. Shelley does some really fucked up things that I'm just like, I don't know if I can forgive you for that. But then they have such sweet moments and I'm like, oh, see, I knew that you would be good together. I knew that you would be good together. I love whenever you're on the same page. But the problem is Shelley has a lying problem. She lies a lot. And I was venting to Jen about this the whole time while I was reading it. I'm like, she lied again. She lied again. And why? Why? What's the motivation? She's dumb. She's supposed to be so smart, but she's dumb. This book was a 3.5 and I was being a little bit generous. So I am rounding it up to 4, but it's a 3.5. It's not a full 4. Then I reread Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. This is one of my favorite books by Penelope Douglas. I reread it all the time. I really love age gap romances. Age gaps don't bother me. Taboo stuff doesn't bother me. So the premise of this book, Jordan, who is dating this guy named Cole, starts to fall for Cole's dad. And it is done in such a beautiful way. It's the best, kind of like I'm in love with like my boyfriend's dad. It could be so cheesy and bad, but it wasn't. It was beautiful. Pike and Jordan are soulmates. And when they first meet, not knowing that Pike is Cole's dad, and Pike not knowing that this is my son, estranged son's girlfriend, you can see the connection with them. They don't do anything. They don't do anything flirty or anything like that. They're just watching old 80s movies in this theater that plays these movies, and their connection is so freaking amazing. I love Jordan as a character. She doesn't have a great home life. She's trying her best to claw her way out of that. And Cole doesn't really have direction in life. You can tell. They were friends first before they started dating. But you can tell that their relationship isn't in a really good place. But they're sticking together because they kind of have no one else. And then Cole doesn't really like his dad because his mom has told him stories about his dad basically sabotaged the relationship between Pike and Cole since he was little. Cole's mom's a mess. Cole's mom is a mess. And Pike longs to be in his son's life, longs to help his son. He wants his son to ask him for help. He wants to help his son get on the right path. And through it all, Pike starts spending more time with Jordan. It's great. It's freaking great. I love it so much. I don't even know how many times I've read this book. Too many times to count. And I love when people are hesitant to read Birthday Girl and they finally pick it up and then they're like, I didn't even expect it to be this amazing. And I'm like, yeah. So we will be talking about this book on the podcast for the first week of June. Then I read Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I saw this book on Instagram. The reason why this book caught my eye is because the cover model in the picture is the same as Broken Vow by Sophie Lark, which is one of my favorites by her. And I was like, wait, this looks slightly different. Oh no, this is a completely different book. So I saw that people were like picking up this book and really liking it. So I decided I'm going to pick it up too and see what all the fuss is about. I didn't know anything going in, but I love when books have the trope in the title. Like whenever you pull up Amazon, I'm going to like show you right here what Twisted Love has. And it says like a brother's best friend romance. Like I love whenever it tells me what I'm expecting in the book. Like this, I love. Tropes should always be included in the title or in the description. It's just beautiful. It's perfect. So Ava has an overprotective brother. And Josh has good reason to be overprotective. She does have an ex-boyfriend, Liam, who is kind of stalking her. He is kind of stalking her, but he is leaving to go to somewhere in South America. I cannot remember exactly which country that he's going to for like, he's in medical school. I think he's not quite a doctor yet. So he's leaving and he decides to tap his best friend Alex, who they're complete opposites. Like Josh is just kind of like jovial, a people person, and Alex is like Iceman. So we have this Iceman. He reminds me of Judd Lauren from Caressed by Ice by Nalini Singh so much. The way that he's like closing himself off and like, I don't want to feel emotions. I'm serious and nobody can touch me because I have this wall of ice built up. And then we have Ava, who is so sunshiny. She's so warm. She wants to basically be friends with Alex because Josh is like, move into my house while I'm gone. So Alex moves into the house, which is right next door to Ava. So Ava's like, if we're going to be neighbors, if you're going to be keeping an eye on me for my brother, then we can at least get to know each other, be friends, because even though she's been knowing Alex for years and years and years, because he's always gone on holidays back to Ava's house with Josh, she still doesn't really know him. And the sexual tension starts picking up between Ava and Alex. She starts kind of like breaking through. I really love their romance and the way that they connect, but there's a lot going on with this book besides just a brother's best friend romance. Ava has some trauma to do with almost drowning whenever she was 5 years old. There's some mysteries to be solved in that regard. I had some predictions. I was throwing them out to Jen and Crystal. I was like, I think that this is going to happen, whatever. This is my theory. And then Alex is set on revenge because his parents were killed when he was young. He was the only survivor, like a hitman, put a hit out on his parents. And it's like, I got strong mafia vibes from Alex, but he wasn't. He was just a really rich billionaire guy who had lots of police in his pocket and stuff like that. So like, I felt like this book didn't know quite what it wanted to be because there was a lot going on with it. And then of course we have our White Fang moment. I didn't really agree with the timing of this moment. The reasons why Alex decides to push Ava away, I didn't really agree with that because it was like after danger has passed and he was like, I'm no good for you. And I'm like, danger has passed, guy. Danger has passed. So anyway, I did enjoy this book. It's a solid 4 stars for me. I am very much looking forward to the next book in the series, in the Twisted series, because it's going to be like a bodyguard romance. And yeah, I hope the plot's just a little less complicated than Twisted Love. Yeah, so solid 4 stars. Next, I read Nyx by Serena Ackroyd. Now, Serena Ackroyd is one of my favorite mafia romance writers. And in her 5 Points Mob series, the mafia romance that I really love a lot, you do see some crossover with this series, the MC series that she has written. So there's some familiar characters, and especially in Filthy Sex, the heroine has a connection with this motorcycle club. I love the heroine of Filthy Sex, Camille. So when Jen read this book and I heard about what was happening in Nyx, I didn't really want to read it. But the fact that Serena Ackroyd kind of intertwines her worlds, and there's some future books that, like a future spinoff series that's going to be in the works and whatever, I was like, I'm just going to power through the MC series. The problem with Nyx is that this is everything I don't like in motorcycle romances. I don't like the culture that this motorcycle club curates. I hate reading about a motorcycle club that the hero and everyone else in the club, they look down on the women who they consider like the sweet butts. They look down on them, just think of them as like holes to stick their dicks in. And I'm just like, what? No, I don't like this. Like, you're the one wanting to be with that. So like, why does that make you better than them? I hate the disrespect towards women. And it's not enough for me that when they find their one true love, they respect that one woman. And I'm just like, am I supposed to believe that this one woman is different? Just this one woman is so totally different. And you hold her to a higher standard, and she's like, it's like the Madonna and the whore complex. And like everyone else is a whore except you're a woman and she's the Madonna. And I'm just like, no. So my favorite heroine from the 5 Points Mob series, Camille, is in here. She was with Nyx. She was with the hero. They were together. They've been sleeping with each other for a while. They weren't like a couple. He didn't claim her as his, but he did make it known that they were exclusive. No other brothers were allowed to touch Camille. The second that the heroine arrives on the scene, he is trying to taunt the heroine by like publicly face fucking Camille in the group. And I'm just like, it's disgusting. He's treating Camille horribly while he's pining after Julia. Then whenever he decides me and Julia are a couple and he publicly embarrasses Camille, has zero respect for her, this woman who's done nothing at all to you. She has not done anything. Camille takes it with grace. She doesn't try to break up their relationship. She doesn't try to be mean to Julia. She's actually the only one that is nice to her. The only one of the women who are just like hangers-ons. Only one of the women who are nice to her. And I'm just like, it makes me hate Nyx. Makes me hate Nyx. Nyx is a piece of shit. Sure, be with Julia, but like, I don't really want your happiness. Do you deserve it? I don't know. I really hope that the next books, I really want to see a little bit more respect with these guys, but I just don't know if I'm gonna get it. I wish that more authors would be like, we don't have to include that type of culture where there's, you know, women who are considered skanky. There's always those distinguishing characteristics that the author likes to point out between like, oh, Julia's natural. She has a natural body. She has natural big boobs, whatever. Camille, she has fake boobs. She's plastic. She's rubber. She puts fake eyelashes. And I'm just like, if you want to have fake body parts and want to wear a lot of makeup and want to wear short shorts and crop tops or whatever, that's totally up to you. We do not look down on a person who does that. Like, no, it's her body. She can do what she wants with it. And I'm just like, it aggravates me. It aggravates me so much. I don't like it. I don't like it whenever MC romances do this. And that's why there are very few MC romances that you will see me recommend. And this is by an author who I absolutely love, but I feel like it's more of a problem with the specific romance genre, the specific MC romance genre, that authors feel like they need to include stuff like this because that's what's typical in MC romances. And I'm like, you don't need to include it at all. Give me hot tattooed bikers who are vigilantes, or not even vigilantes. They can operate like, you know, a mafia does, who also respect women. That's what I want. And we don't have to have the women who are not old ladies be bitches. We don't need to have them acting like that. That's just my personal opinion. I feel very strongly about it. And then finally, I read Ringmaster by Brianna Hale. Now, Tamika specifically contacted me after I gave Black Box like 2 stars. I was like, it's one of my least favorite. And I definitely needed direction because I was like, I don't know where to go with Brianna Hale. And Tamika's like, I definitely recommend Ringmaster. I think you'll like it. It's a slow burn. It's an age gap romance, which I love age gap romances. So I tried out Ringmaster and it was phenomenal. It was so good. It was so sweet. I'm so glad that I read this romance. I ended up by giving this book a 5 stars because I love the couple a lot. Kale is the ringmaster in this traveling circus in Britain. The heroine, Raya, she has an abusive father. Her mother abandoned her whenever she was 12 because the father was abusing her. And so Raya has been taking her father's abuse alone. And it comes to a point where she fears for her life and she runs. And it just so happens that the circus was passing by her house at this exact moment. So Kale takes Raya and saves her. And it's like, you're safe here. You can stay with us. Like, I promise. Like, you don't even have to be useful. Like, you can just stay here. But Raya is good on horseback. She has a horse, Delilah. But I just love the sense of family that Raya finds in the circus. Like, everyone's so nice to her, so welcoming. Just be like, you have a place with us. You have a home with us. The tension between her and Kale, it's very platonic in the beginning. They do spend a lot of moments together. She does feel very grateful to Kale, but I think that it was so well done, the slow burn, the changing of the relationship between Raya and Kale, the way that she approaches him, because she's very interested in, like, she wants to do more. She wants to have more acts. She's enjoying her horse act that she does in the circus, but she's like, wouldn't it be so much fun if we could have an act where you throw your knives at me and like get as close as you can, because Kale is a master with knives. And so like there's so much sexual tension that's building during these moments with them. And the book does span an entire year because Raya is 17. Nothing happens with them until she's 18. So it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I want more like this. I want more like this. All right, guys, that's it. That's my last books for the week of May. I am currently listening to an audiobook, won't finish it today. And then I did not get to my historical pick that I picked for May in paperback because I was kind of binging on audio. I had other things that I was like really wanted to read, and since I'm such a mood reader, I decided not to force myself to read it, but I still have it on my bedside table. I still plan on reading Princess of Fire. It's just not going to be in May, but I do have a really full schedule for June. We'll see if that ever gets done. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to get notified of any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, life's better with little HEA. Bye, guys.